Okay, welcome Curd Nerds. Hopefully you can hear me. We'll wait for a few more people to turn up. Oh, there they are. Doesn't take long at all. You're all waiting for me. Hello Eric. Hello Daniel. Hello Louise. Lewis. Sorry, not Louise. Lewis. Richard. Samantha. Danny. Oh, the audio's good. Fantastic. Thanks for the sound check, mate. Appreciate it. I had a bit of trouble with the microphone this morning. SMF. Test subject. Teresa. Ebony. We've got everybody here this morning. Fantastic. I'll just let's check what YouTube says. Yep, the stream is excellent. Okay, fantastic. And the computer's not missing a beat. Alright, let's get on with the show, shall we? Well, welcome back everybody. Thank you for joining me for another Ask the Cheeseman live stream, and the chat looks very active today. It's fantastic. Just one point of housekeeping. I'd like to say happy birthday to my grandson Archer. It was his birthday the other day. He's 1 year old, and he's living over in Germany with my son and his wife and his sister. But yeah, 1 year old, big achievement, and from what I heard, he loves cheese as well. So yes, I suppose I look old enough to be a grandpa now, don't I? Anyway, so yes, too young. No, I'm not. I'm not too young to be a grandpa at all. Yeah, when you have them young, that's what happens, I suppose. Yes, happy birthday to Archer. Lovely. How long? Well, first question of the day. Let's get straight into it. Thanks, Chris. How long have I been making cheese? Since 2009. I made my first cheese, and the very first one was feta, and it was absolutely delicious. Made by a very dubious method of cheese making that I got taught at a cheese making class, but it turned out like feta nonetheless. I did everything wrong. The brine wasn't balanced. It was slimy. The cheese was slimy when it came out, but my goodness, that pride in your first cheese is just absolutely fantastic. I've got a few more online. We've got Sana, we've got Neil, Joseph, Bence. My favourite cheese. Well, my favourite cheese this week was a chili cheddar. I don't quite know who made it. Kim found it in the supermarket, and I tell you what, one bite and my mouth was on fire. Absolutely. It had more chilies per square centimetre than it actually had cheese, I think. So, yes, that was my favourite cheese of the week this week. I have many favourite cheeses. Anyway, how come cheese totally changes its taste when you melt it? Well, the proteins become liquid, basically, so that actually changes the flavour profile, Benny. What have we got here? Nicholas, love your videos. French subscriber here. Have you ever tried to make épois? No. Apparently it's a very stinky cheese. And I haven't got that far into my stinky cheese repertoire yet. So I don't think Kim would like the fridge stinking out and and really having issues with that. Anyway, so thanks for the question anyway, Nicholas. Samantha, do you think tastes the best with cheese? What's your favourite combination? If I'm just doing a cheese platter or something like that, I would put on some fresh apple, fresh pear, sometimes even dried fruit, dried apricots, dried pear, quince paste, really nice fig paste is really nice on a cheese platter, and some of those little, what are they called, grissini, little breadsticks, hard breadsticks. They're really nice to have with a cheese platter as well. Hopefully that answers your question, because that's how I mainly eat cheese, is on a cheese platter. I like the fresh native taste of the cheese. Look, sometimes we use it in cooking over Italian dishes and stuff like that. Anyway, Richard for brie. How do you determine whether it's double, single, or triple? It's basically the amount of cream that they add. I think for a single, actually, I made brie once, tried to make a double brie, and it just, when I flipped it over, it split in half. And you can check that out if you have a look at the When Cheese Making Fails video. So go and check that out. There's a brie there, and it split in half when I turned it over. Excuse me. First coffee for the day. Okay. Yoko, hello from Germany. Anastasia. Anastasia. Hello from Serbia. My mum is making cheese. Can you say hello? Hello, Anastasia's mum. Ira, I'm looking to get into cheese making. Any special needs for a kitchen setup, or most will do. Check out, and if Kim's online, I don't know if she's there. I haven't seen her yet. She's supposed to be moderating. If she can pull up the video for cheese making equipment, it's just simple cheese making equipment in your kitchen, and it just shows you all the utensils you'll need, the pot, that sort of stuff, and we'll get. Oh, here she is. She's there. Yeah. So if she can pop in the link to the video, the cheese making equipment. Brutal, hello from Norway. Do you ship cheese kits to Norway? Yes, we do. We ship all over the world. There's a couple of countries that have import restrictions around cheese making equipment and make it pretty hard. The customer has to have an import license and all that, so I don't ship to those countries. It's only about 5 or 6 that we don't. So Norway's definitely on the list, Nicholas, so check that out. Oh, sorry, Brutal. Nicholas, yes, super stinky. SFM. I'm about to use Bulgarian feta for a watermelon salad. Tastes less salty, nutritional Greek. Other than that, I really don't know about the sub variation of feta. Look, basically they are fetas, and you got to remember that whole area was settled back in ancient times by the Mycenaeans, back in the pre-BCE era, and that's basically when those sort of cheeses were developed. So they're not specific to any country, they're specific to regions. So yeah, they may brine it a little bit less. I know Bulgarian feta might use a different culture. It's a lot stronger, but other than that, that'd probably be the only difference. Neil, Nerf, pronounced Nerf, yes. So is that Nerf Châtel? As in, I couldn't pronounce it on the last video. Now, just one point before we get too carried on. Thank you for the video link there, Kim. I'm behind a little bit here. Don't forget that if you want me to get to your comment, because they're going so fast, there is the super chat option, a little $sign down there, and it'll highlight your chat. I think it's about $2 US, and that proceeds go to me, which is great, and keep the channel alive. And on another point, on my sincere apologies. We didn't have a video on Sunday morning, my time, which is Saturday evening, US and most other places, because we were making soap all weekend. It was a soaping weekend, and I really couldn't pull myself away to make a taste test video. Really haven't had a chance to make cheese over the last 2 weekends, so hopefully that's going to rectify this weekend. I've got a day off, so I'll make some cheese and we'll video it. I'm not sure what we're going to make, but it'll be a surprise, so that'll be good. Okay, back to the questions. Max says, have you ever made Old Amsterdam? I really love it, and other old cheeses. Greetings from a random Dutch guy. Hello, random Dutch guy. Old Amsterdam. Well, my son Adam in Germany says Old Amsterdam is one of the best cheeses he's ever had, and that's saying something. He lives in Europe, so there's so many cheeses there. You you couldn't poke a stick at them. So Old Anston, I'll have to check it out, but I'll put that on my list. Got so many on my list. Old Amsterdam, there we go. Okay, Danny says, I've been putting brine on kafili like you said, but I've noticed some small reddish brown and white mould. Is it okay? Yes, it is. Those sorts of moulds occur naturally on kafili because it's highly salted. But it shouldn't be too many weeks to go, Danny, since you made the kafili. But if you start to see it cracking, then either vac pack or wax it. It shouldn't. If you keep it moist enough and in a high humidity area, it won't have too many problems. Ior, welcome back. What would I get if I made Buddha but then cheddared it for an hour before putting in the press? A lot drier. The cheese will be a lot drier. Travis, g'day Travis. Made some bel paese, and after 2.5 weeks it started splitting. What could I do wrong? Pretty hard to diagnose. Not sure unless you send me a picture. Sorry, Travis. And if you can go to the About tab of the YouTube channel and just shoot me through a picture via email. Pretty hard to diagnose something like this. Sana, I wonder if you can make a white check cheese used in pastries, melts as mozzarella. Have you got a name? And I'll see if I can track it down. Otto Knocker, what type of cheese would you recommend for a newbie to attempt? Well, look, I think some really basic cheeses go for things like ricotta. You can't muck it up. Try paneer, which is a twist on ricotta that you press, and it tastes really nice. It's got some yogurt and some lemon juice. And then try something a little bit better, like halloumi. Doesn't need a culture, needs a little bit of rennet to set, and that tastes fantastic. And I've actually got a whole video, if Kim can find it, says beginners cheeses that you don't need a cheese cave for, or something like that. So if Kim can pop that link up, that'll be fantastic. Moneyman says, hey Gavin, when's the new vid going to be up, and when could you make cheese with the Italian kit? Yes, well that's coming. I've got a cottage cheese left to make, and we can go from there. But yes, there will be a new video up this weekend. Balina says, hi Gavin, do you think most people store cheese wrong? Yeah, a lot of people put it in plastic wrap, which is makes the cheese sweat. A lot of cheese should be stored once it's bought in. It's a cheese paper. It's like grease-proof paper, but a bit stronger. It's like a parchment, and that way the cheese can breathe and age okay in the fridge. But you got to eat it within a fairly quick amount of time, unless it's vacuum packed, and that's the only exception to storing your cheese in plastic. But yeah, don't store it in plastic wrap. It's just not the right way to do it. Sweats, then it goes mouldy really quickly as well. Solid Snake, favourite cheese. Already done that one today, mate. Hello, Michael. Dave, hi, Gavin. One of the first cheeses I tried to make was brie. Brave, but not wise. 2 of the wheels liquefied. Any reason why? Reason. So liquefied in the middle, I would assume. And I think that's because the Penicillium candidum or Camberti, whichever one you're using, tends to do that if the temperatures are too high. So you've got to get them right down to 7 degrees Celsius in the cheese cave and maintain that for the first 2 weeks, and then put it into the normal cheese. Once you've got it wrapped in your cheese wrap, then put it into the normal refrigerator at 4 degrees C for a further 2 weeks ripening. Maybe 3. I think it's a little bit longer for brie because it's a larger wheel. And it won't liquefy as much. But test it. With these bloomy rind cheeses, all cheesemakers test their cheese to see when it's best to eat. Now, if you only got one, it's a little bit hard, but you can press into the white part of the mould, press the firmness, and you'll soon find out if it's runny in the middle or not. Um, okay. I want to. Raven said, Neil, thank you for the laugh. Raven says, I want to make cheese at home, but in my country, yeasts are not broadly available. What should I do? Well, hopefully, you're not using yeast in your cheese because it's a no no. You get yeast infection in your cheese and things don't go quite well. I think you mean bacteria, the lactic bacteria. Um, well, funny you should say that. They probably are, and you just don't know it. So you can get lactic bacteria, so mesophilic bacteria in the form of buttermilk, and that's not the liquid from butter, that's a cultured milk. That has mesophilic culture in it, and you can use that. Also, for a thermophilic culture, if you can get your hands on some, even yogurt will do as a thermophilic culture. Use about 1% yogurt to the amount of milk you've got, and that'll give you a thermophilic culture that'll start it off and start acidifying your milk if it's a live yogurt. So, yeah, don't be disheartened from not having some of these things. I highly recommend a book by David Asher, Natural Cheese Making, which is really good, and you can check that out. And B Swins, hello from North Carolina, and Max, I don't know the rules about shipping, but if you have a post box or something, I'm willing to send you some cheese. Unfortunately, our quarantine laws here in Australia are very strict, and if you sent a piece of cheese through the post, they would confiscate it. So, unfortunately, thank you, Max. I really appreciate the gesture, but as soon as the sniffer dogs get hold of it, they confiscate any food-like items like cheese, unless it's tightly vacuum packed, refrigerated, all that sort of stuff. And unfortunately, the post you can't kind of do that. Teresa, you talk often about a cheese fridge. Is this normal from a different from a normal fridge? Yes, it is, Teresa. It's just a modified refrigerator that instead of being at 4 degrees Celsius, you can maintain temperatures between, down as low as 7 for bloomy rind cheeses, all the way up to 13 degrees for regular hard and semi-hard cheeses. Kim, there's a video, if you can pop the link in there, about my cheese cave or cheese fridge. It's quite old, but it's exactly the same fridge that I'm still using now. So, yeah, check that out. Danny, thanks. I've been keeping the humidity of my kefili around 80 to 85%. I've just had it over. I have a week left, no cracks. Cannot let it mature longer than 3 weeks. Look, you can, Danny, you can let your kefili age longer than 3 weeks, but that it doesn't improve in flavour. In fact, if you do let it go a little bit longer, I've had experience where it starts to turn a little bit bitter because of the high salt content. But 3 weeks, mate, it'll be perfect. You watch, it'll be fantastic. Okay. Joseph, I'm new to the idea of cheese making. What would you say about trying milk powder to make cheese? I actually recently saw a video on YouTube where they made mozzarella with powdered milk. So do a search on YouTube, and I think it was only out the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not sure what channel it's on, but yeah, just mozzarella powdered milk, you should find it. So that's one idea. I have made many yogurts with powder. You know, here in Australia, there's a system called Easy Yo. It's got a little thermos. You may have seen it in my yogurt making video, where I made tangy yogurt. And yeah, it's basically a thermos that keeps the milk warm overnight and makes the yogurt. And the powdered milk has the cultures and everything and sugar and all sorts of stuff. But if you're making natural yogurt, it doesn't have the sugar in it. So yeah, you definitely can make cheese and yogurts from powdered milk. Not, I would use proper raw milk or unhomogenized milk to make hard cheeses. But fresh cheeses, I couldn't see why you couldn't. Having said that, I've only done it with yogurt. Cecilia, hello Cecilia from Jacksonville, Florida. To make to make fresco cheese with 1 gallon of milk, what is the quantity in teaspoons for citric acid and rennet? Kim, can you pop up the? I know I'm really getting you. pop up the video for queso fresco. I can't, off the top of my head, I haven't got the recipe in front of me, Cecilia, but the recipe should be in that video. And in fact, if you go on to littlegreencheese.com, there is a recipe for queso fresco, a full written recipe. Remembering that 5 milliliters is 1 teaspoon, 2.5 milliliters is half a teaspoon, and so on and so forth down the line. 1.25 mils is a quarter of a teaspoon, so should be able to figure that out. James, do you have a basement full of cheese? No, I don't, James. I just have a cheese fridge full of cheese. And it's quite a small thing. It fits under a countertop in our laundry, and that sits next to the washing machine. So, yeah, that's where all my cheese is. But I actually have the refrigerator. Kim and I were doing a cheese inventory last night, and I think we had six half wheels of cheese that we just haven't got around to eating yet. So, look, they'll stay nice and fresh in vac packs. So we vac pack those halves. They won't mature any further, but they would taste fantastic nonetheless. So it's a good way to store if you've got lots of cheese. Secretary, hi. Cecilia loves my accent. Thank you very much. I've been told I'm the Bob Ross of cheese making, so I have that dulcet tone. Andrew, hi Gavin. Any idea why my Tilsit was too hard? It was almost brittle. No, I don't. Without a photo or some further explanation. Probably dry it out. If it goes hard, that's because there's not enough humidity. Brevibacteria linens loves a wet environment for it to grow properly. It needs to be moist all the time. Your brine solution that you could have been wiping it with may have been too salty. It just needs to be a very simple brine, which is 1 to 2 tablespoons of salt to 1 cup of boiled water or non-chlorinated water, and that's what you wipe the outside with. So if it's any stronger than that, it'll tend to dry out the cheese. Test subject ZZ. When was the last time a new cheese was produced? I wonder if there's new types to be told. There's new cheeses happening all the time. Every time you make a cheese in your kitchen using a recipe, and it usually deviates anyway, I know every one I do, mate, is different. You've made a new cheese that nobody else in the world has ever tasted before. So when you make your own cheeses, you are making a new cheese every time. So it's pretty hard to match what commercial cheesemakers do, because they get their microbiology down to the nth degree, and everything is regulated and all that sort of stuff. And as home cheese makers, it's very hard to replicate the same cheese over and over and over, unless you've got fully written logs. You use pH levels and all that sort of stuff. Look, I tend to not get that excited when I'm making my own cheese. I like to see what happens naturally, basically. Max, I also saw a video of a guy named David Seymour who failed at making mozzarella. You may be able to help him in video form. What did he do wrong or mess it up? Yeah, I'll check that out. If he's a regular YouTuber, he might want to collaborate. That'd be really interesting. Okay, Danny, what is proper way to store my cultures? Yeah, a lot of people have trouble with this. So here's a good tip. Get yourself some of those little sterile jars. You know, the ones with a yellow lid, the sterile stamp, the ones you take to the doctors when you go and have pathology. Don't grab ones that are used. They can be fresh, clean, sterile sample jars. So when you rip your packet of cultures open, pour it straight into the sample jar, put the lid on tight, and then store it in the freezer. So at minus 18 Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's the best way to store your cultures, because then they stay dry in their little container because they've got a little airtight lid. You can access them out of the fridge, take a little bit using your mini measuring spoons, put the lid back on tight, and they won't go all gluggy and gunky. So that's the best way to store your cultures. Okay, 1 US gallon is 3.8 litres compared to 4.5 imperial. That's correct. I only convert my recipes to US gallons because you're only one of 3 countries still using the old system. So yeah, I use the 3.8 measurement. Cecilia, thank you, darling. You're welcome. Um, how do I sanitize my ripening box? Well, there's a couple of methods. You can pour boiling water straight from the kettle over your ripening box to kill any bacteria. You can soak it in a weak bleach solution. So use 2 tablespoons of bleach to 2 litres of water. Or was it teaspoons? No, it's 2 teaspoons. Don't use tablespoons. 2 teaspoons of bleach, and in 2 litres of water, and then just wash your ripening box in that. That'll kill any bacteria and yeast. Or you can go the method that I use, and that's just spray. Make sure it's been washed through the dishwasher at a high temperature, not too high. Don't go over 60 or it'll start to melt. And then spray it with white vinegar after it's come out of the dishwasher, and just let that dry on the side before you use it, and that'll kill any yeasts or molds that are lurking in the box that may infect your cheese. Yeah, so when you're making bloomy rind cheeses, it's very important to sanitize your plasticware. Okay, hopefully that answers your question, Adam. Doug Finn, g'day. How large would you say is your personal cheese cave storage in kilograms? If that's not too personal, thinking of a workable practical amount for personal use and gifts. How was your personal aging? Don't quite understand your question, Doug. Is your personal cheese cave storage aging in kilograms? I don't know, I've got 5 or 6 kilos on the go at the moment. Remembering that I'm taste testing probably at least 2 times a month, so I pull them out. And once they're cut open, I don't leave them in the cheese fridge anymore. I put them into the normal refrigerator and then give them away myself. At least a quarter of a wheel goes to work, so my work colleagues has a go at it. So that's good. Levy, have you ever smoked cheese before? Do you the flavour smoking ads? Do you? Yes, I do like the flavour that the smoking adds. In fact, Kim and I bought it was an aged cheddar, smoked cheddar the other day that had been made locally, and it tasted amazing. Cold smoking is pretty easy to do. I just haven't got around to it yet because it's the middle of winter here. It's freezing cold, so I don't want to spend too much time outside. Freezing cold in Australia is about 11 degrees during the day and about 0 during in the morning when you first get up. So it's not that cold, but for us it's cold. Seeing we have summers of over 35 degrees for weeks in a row. Be sure your culture pack is the same temperature as the jar so it doesn't stick. Yes. So I pull my cultures will be sealed in a bag in their sachet in the freezer to start with, and then I put it into the jar, and usually it doesn't stick at all. It just pours straight out of the sachet into the little jar. So it's pretty cool. Philip says, is cheese an art form? Look, well, I would say so. Because you're creating something that's unique. You are then displaying your wares once it's mature. Why can't cheese be an art? It's a good name for a book, actually, The Art of Cheese Making. I think somebody might have already used it, but if they haven't, maybe that's my what I'll call my second volume of cheese book. Andrew, how long will halloumi keep in cling film as opposed to vac packing? Well, that halloumi that I made the other day, the video that I put out, it's still okay. It's in the cling wrap, and Ben's going to have that for supper tonight. That's my son. And in vac pack, I've actually still got some from two years ago. I've got some halloumi that's been vac packed. It's a bit tough by the looks of it, but I think it'll still soften up if I put it in the frying pan. So halloumi will last for a long time. It's better if it's kept in brine, as it traditionally is in the Middle East and Cyprus. Um, when are you coming live again? I can see you for hours. Well, Cecilia, I am live again tonight at 7:30 p.m. my time. Don't know what that is in the US. It's in the about 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time US. But it's more for the Australia, Asia Pac, and Europe contingent of cheese makers and curd nerds. Sorry, do I enjoy the flavour? Yes, I love the flavour of smoked cheese, Levy. Thank you for getting your question. Favourite port? Now, I could answer this two ways because I was in the Navy, so my favourite port was always my home port where the ship was docked, or the favourite port to drink is a nice aged tawny port, or even a vintage port. I don't have many preferences. I don't drink it that much anymore because I've got some stomach issues and it doesn't sit well. Red Walrus, hello, I like your videos. Thank you very much. Will, how old were you when you first tasted some real cheese? Funny story, Will. I've probably told it on the live stream many times. I was about 9 or 10. And this is funny because I lived on a dairy farm when I was a little wee tacker up until I was 16 and joined the Navy. And we didn't make cheese. There was no cheese to be found on our dairy. It was just milk for the local producer, a local co-op, and we made butter as well. But the first real cheese was when I went to visit a Greek friend, George, and his mum and dad served up some traditional homemade Greek feta, and it blew my mind. It was amazing. As well as that feta, first time I ever tasted olives as well. I'd never tasted olives before that, and they were amazing as well. So I'm hooked on those two cheeses. Oh, sorry, that cheese and olives. I have ever since I was 9 or 10. Can't actually remember how old I was, but I was a wee lad. I wasn't going to high school at the time. I was still in primary school. Adam, can you age cheese too much? Yes. If it's a mold ripened cheese, you can age it. Oh, pardon me. You can age it too much. So yeah, it'll go all soggy in the middle, as I think one of the other curd nerds found out. I can't remember the name. It was all the way back there. So hard and semi-hard cheeses, look, they have an optimum ripening time, but cheddars, parmesan, stuff like that, any of the harder cheeses, you can age for a long time, and they really do get enhanced in flavour. They really do mature very well. Kept in brine. How do you keep halloumi in brine? Well, you make a weak brine solution, Andrew. So 10%, just like I made in the goat's cheese feta. And I showed how to make a 10% solution there. And yeah, as long as it's a balanced brine solution, the halloumi will keep. And if it's submerged, then it will keep in brine. I was talking to a Cypriot friend of mine, Mick. He's actually our builder. And he said that they keep it in brine so long in Cyprus that it has these little worms or some creature that swims around in the brine. So I don't know if I'd eat that, but they seem to keep it there. I foolish one. Hi Gavin, I did cow's feta, followed your recipe minus the lipase. I had trouble keeping the temperature to 30°C, was 39 throughout the process. What can I expect of the cheese because of the hotter heat? It'll tend to be a lot drier and a little more crumbly, but for feta, crumbly's good. It's no big deal. But yeah, you really should. Cow's feta, as you probably know, is not traditional. Normal feta is made of, it's about 70% sheep's milk and 30% goat's milk, or on times like the one I made recently, 100% goat's milk. And that's when you get the true flavour. If you don't add lipase, it doesn't really taste like feta if you're using cow's milk. But those other two milks, a lot creamier, richer, higher in fat content, and they make truly a really really good feta. Happy 4th of July. Eat all the cheese. 4th of July means nothing here in Australia. Uh, our Independence Day or national celebrations on the 26th of July, known to the indigenous population here as Invasion Day. But yeah, that's when our federation happened in 1901, for anybody wanting some historical facts about Australia. And Kakasibatosi says, thanks for the dairy education. Well, thank you very much. Kim's got some cheesy facts there. Yes, over 2,000 varieties of cheese there is. Mozzarella is the favourite one around the globe and most consumed. That's strange, you know, probably because of the pizzas. But I thought cheddar was actually the most consumed cheese throughout the world. So, very interesting at your source there, young Kim. But that wouldn't surprise me, seeing people eat pizzas just about all the time. Isle Whiskers, Blake is a great tawny port. Oh, okay. Thanks. CJEUK, I tried making damper tonight. Rosemary bread here in the UK. It was great, but would have been better with some decent cheese though. What is your favourite? Look, I think any good cheddar, actually, you know, on damper, Stilton, fantastic, absolutely. Because damper is for those who don't know what damper is, it's an Australian bread that is unleavened, so it has no yeast in it. It's made with self-raising flour, and it's kind of doughy a little bit, so it tends to be a bit like that. It's baked on a campfire in a Dutch oven, something like that, so it works quite well. But yeah, it needs a strong cheese to get the flavours out. Thanks, Kim. Persifine Taylor's been my favourite port. Do you recommend any recommendations on port to try? No, like I said, I haven't had any port for years. I can't even think of any Australian ports that I used to drink. It's quite a while. Red Walrus cheddar is quite popular here in Canada. Yes, it is. What is the most... Is it a joke, Chris? Was Swiss because it's holy? Actually, funny you should say that. Talking about religious cheeses, we had a customer come to our house to buy some cheese making supplies. We don't normally have people come to our house, but he ordered it online, and that's where he came to pick it up because he's a local. And he was of the Egyptian Coptic Christian religion, which is a minority religion there in Egypt. And he was talking to me about Greek, not Greek fasting. It's fasting cheese is what it's called. So before Easter, they usually fast. They don't eat any meats. So the only dairy product they can have is this fake cheese, which is called fasting cheese. They can only buy it from the church, and it costs a fortune. So he asked me to find the recipe. Now, there is actually, here in Australia, there's a fasting cheese called Greek fasting cheese. There's a lot of Greek Orthodox follow the same sort of thing. So that Greek fasting cheese we found was made from oils and nuts. So it's very much like a vegan cheese, which I've ordered some vegan cheese making kits, very similar to the Mad Millie ones there behind me. It's actually made by Mad Millie. And they should arrive by the end of this week, maybe early next week. And I'm going to try and make some nut cheese. I know we do most things dairy here, but I wanted to give people who had lactose intolerance issues or that sort of stuff a chance to make some nut cheese. So I want to try some myself. Apparently some of them are pretty good. So I'll give that a go. Okay, so we're running out. Oh no, we're not running out of questions. Kim's pops some people in Greece are the largest consumers of cheese worldwide. On average, person in Greece consumes 27.3 kilos of cheese. I reckon I'd probably match that. About 3/4 of it is feta. Well, there you go. Thank you, Kim, for that cheesy fact. I foolish one, building my cheese cave, got the temperature under control, was thinking of automatic humidity control versus the dish of water. What's your thoughts in respect to Jarlsberg and Swiss? Okay, there's some simple solutions with cheese fridges for humidity, and that's ripening boxes. So ripening boxes are just plastic boxes with a little mat in the bottom, so it raises it off the bottom, so any whey that drips out, the cheese doesn't sit in it. So as long as the cheese is elevated, you won't have too many issues, and that has a high humidity. If you can get the temperature right in your cheese cave, that's fantastic. That's exactly what you should do. But to get the humidity whole fridge wide, very hard to do unless you get a humidifier in there. Then you got to top the water up all the time. Then you got to clean the bloody thing because it tends to attract a lot of mold and stuff. So I use ripening boxes for that purpose to keep the humidity high. If I'm doing a natural rind, for Jarlsberg, the recipe that I've got, you wax it just about straight away, and you don't need to worry too much about the humidity. So waxed and vac packed cheeses don't really need to worry too much about the humidity. Vac pack, you don't need it at all. Look, I think as long as it's over 70% in your cheese fridge, a lot of them are natural anyway, because the refrigeration unit itself freezes and defrosts, so creating natural humidity up to about 70% usually in normal refrigerated fridges. So yeah, maturation boxes will help you get your humidity higher, and you can do that for each individual cheese. If you're doing it on a large scale, you'll obviously need a humidifier in a bigger cheese fridge, cheese cave. Any recommendations on cheeses containing fruits? Personal preferences, coming from a guy with a very severe allergy to nuts. Yes, on one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, I think it was the UK one, cheese making in the UK, great little community there. And somebody made a Wensleydale from my recipe in my book, Keep Calm and Make Cheese, which you will find at littlegreencheese.com. Just go there, my cheese ebook. You'll find that. There's a Wensleydale recipe. Takes a while to make. Takes about 9 hours. But you can add in dried fruit. Only dried fruit. Don't put in fresh fruit because it will rot and put off flavours in your cheese. Put rehydrated dry fruit. It's got a little bit of sulphur in it. Helps protect it from bacteria. And the flavours, and you put that in a milling time. Just when you mix the salt through the cheese, with Wensleydale anyway. And white Stilton is another one. So I was using my Stilton recipe, and don't put any Penicillium Roqueforti in it, and that'll work fine. And follow that, and then at the milling stage, put in your dried fruit, and then proceed as normal. So dried fruit in cheese is absolutely fantastic, as are chilies and peppers and stuff like that, as in crushed black pepper or green peppers whole. You've seen some of the cheeses that I've made with those sorts of things in it. Okay, Steve says, Gavin, when making cheddar, is annatto used for flavour or just colouring? It's actually flavourless, so it's just for colouring. They used to cheat. The reason they put annatto in cheese these days, and it's in most cheeses that are yellow, is because it tends to cheeses that are high in fat content, milk that's high in fat content has more beta carotene in it, and therefore it tends to show that the cheese is richer and has more flavour. So the cheesemakers used to try and trick people. That's what we do, apparently. Trick people and put things like carrot juice, turmeric, saffron. Saffron actually adds flavour to the cheese though. But anything yellowish they tried to put in there, until they stumbled across annatto in the early 19th century, I believe, and started using annatto in cheese to make it yellow or orange. Okay, cheesy fact from Kim. During the Roman Empire, large Roman houses had separate kitchens for manufacturing cheese. They were called Kim, give me a word I can pronounce. Carali. Oh, that's not in Latin much. Thanks for the answer. Mickey D. Hi, Gavin and Kim. Thanks for the great service from Little Green Workshops. Order arrived 2 days ahead of schedule, well packaged and intact. I made my first Buddha cage yesterday. Fingers crossed. Thanks, Mick. Mick's from Tasmania and ordered quite a large amount of cheese making equipment because he's stuck into the hobby, as you can see now. I think he's going to be making cheese quite often. Thanks, Mick. Appreciate your order, mate, and glad to hear that the service was up to standard. Okay, and Kim said, our pleasure. Right, Gwynedd, I think that's how you pronounce it. What cheese is best to melt in an oven baked toast? I wouldn't go past cheddar, really. Cheddar's fantastic melting cheese. Or some of the Swiss Alpine cheeses. Beautiful melting cheeses. Have a fantastic, subtle, nutty flavour. Yes, cheese is life. Thanks, Mark. A toasted, yep, great. Edam, yeah, that melts nice too. Very nice. Complete novice here. Who's it from? Amaranthum. Hopefully I got that right. Complete novice here. Only cheese I've ever made is not sure what it was. Overheated milk intended for yogurt. Killed the culture when it got too hot. Added rennet, then salted. Sounds very close to labna, I think, or ricotta. So that's a cheese. Looks like ricotta. Yeah, that's good. Hey, look, anything like that tastes nice. Usually it's a serendipitous discovery that you didn't really mean to make. Okay. We've got 10 minutes left to go, ladies and gentlemen, curd nerds and curd nerdettes. It is similar to toasted cheese sandwich. You can get one in the Borough Market. Oh, sounds very nice. The next time I'm in London, I'll pop in and grab some. Any suggestions as to what I can try next? I have bought mesophilic culture and citric acid to go with the rennet. I do not have access to raw milk. That's okay. Not many of us do. So having access to raw milk, not having access to raw milk should not be the end all and be all and stop you from making any cheese. Look, I've made cheese with pasteurised, homogenised milk. In fact, that's all I used when I first started, the first 2 years of cheese making. Since I've gone to and managed to find unhomogenised milk, which is creamline milk, as the creamline layer at the top, and goat's milk, which is naturally homogenised. The fat globules are smaller. It's not actually homogenised at all. It's just the way the milk is. Cream doesn't rise. But yeah, next cheese I would make, try the, so you got that, citric acid, rennet. Give quick mozzarella a go, or even try halloumi. That's good and delicious, both of those cheeses. One melts, one doesn't. And you'll be able to determine which one it is if you watch some more videos. I got it. I got your name right. Oh, fantastic. Amara. Well done. Tughan. Gavin, I have a question. I have calcium chloride, but it's in powdered form. What is the concentration? I think it's 40% powder to 60% liquid, which is should be pure water or distilled water. Pretty sure it's... I'd have to have a look. I think it's 30 or 40 off the top of my head to use the powdered form. Check online. Just do a quick Google. It's pretty simple to find the answer. That's all I did when I had some powdered calcium chloride and had to make up a solution. I didn't have much. But it's actually called, I think in the US, it's called Pickle Crisp. You can get it from Ball, the preserving company that make those Ball mason jars. So Pickle Crisp is a calcium chloride in a powdered form, if you didn't know that already. Mickey D, I don't know what you would think, but I discovered some fine paint strainers from Bunnings with an elastic collar straining my ricotta through. Did a nice job. Paint strainers. As long as the fibre is clean, Mick, then you shouldn't have too much problems. It's when you get cloths or plastic that have bits, like the Chucks cloth that has bits that come off it. And those Chucks cloth things are all, I'm talking about, what are they called? Dish wipes. They're made from a plastic fibre. and they have a chemical residue in them. You have to boil them first. So they're not worth the time. But if you found something that's like a natural fabric, that would work fine. Um, Kim has got more cheesy. Some varieties of cheese like mozzarella, cheddar, Swiss, and American prevent tooth decay. Uh, Promotes the flow of saliva, leads elimination. Yeah, I think that's a dairying. You could say that with anything. I think the chewing gum company, who makes chewing gum, Wrigley's, something like that. They would say the same thing. Prevents tooth decay. In fact, I've seen some ads for chewing gum that say the same thing. But I like the cheese version better. Yes, it does. Eat cheese is good. Vanessa, hello Vanessa. Have you tried making an aged Havarti? It's one of my favourite cheeses, similar to cheddar. Can't seem to find it anywhere in recent years. No, my Havarti got to 6 weeks, started to flatten and go quite soft. So I think I would have to press it harder if I were to make an aged Havarti. That would be the only change I'd make in the recipe that I posted online on YouTube. So loving all the cheese, all the info on cheesy facts. Asman, thanks Asman. Valerie, hello Valerie. Hi Gavin, I've made some camembert last week. They are beautiful, fluffy with PC. That's Penicillium candidum to all you curd nerds out there. I've always leave in the cheese fridge, but it gets runny on the inside and not ripe. Oh, runny on the outside and not ripe on the inside. Right, what you need to do is, Valerie, once it gets to the 2 week mark and they've got all that lovely fungus all over it, or mold, white mold, wrap them up in cheese wrap, put them in the normal refrigerator for the last 2 weeks, and you'll find they soften evenly all the way through. Yes, pop them in the normal fridge. Happy Independence Day. It's also possible to make your own rennet or cheese culture. Rennet comes from an animal source, basically, and it is the fourth stomach of any ruminant. So that's any animal with hooves. They tend to make it out of from calves, kids, from goats, and from pigs, piglets. So any of those animals that are gone for slaughter, they take the fourth stomach, and it's actually, back in the old days, it used to be called the rennet bag, was the fourth stomach. And it's the lining has the rennet enzyme, pepsin and chymosin are the two enzymes that are present in that stomach lining. And humans have the same thing. We have that enzyme to coagulate the milk to make it a solid so we can digest it. Western cultures tend to have more of it in their stomach lining, whereas Asian cultures tend not to, and they have trouble digesting dairy. It's just one of those things of human evolution. But yes, you can. I've seen many videos on YouTube where they use a rennet bag and they dunk it in the milk. So they dry it. What they do, they dry it out. They heavily salt it to preserve it, and they cut off a piece of it and they dunk it in the milk until it rehydrates again, and then it coagulates the cheese. Cheese cultures, you can reuse yogurt culture for thermophilic. You can use kefir grains, has many strains of lactic bacteria in it, and you simply plonk them into your milk at the start for culturing, and they float to the top once the rennet's been put in, and they just sit on top when the milk has curdled. So they have thermophilic, they've got a mesophilic culture in there, they've also got Geotrichum candidum. So they've got many cultures and molds in kefir grains. So yeah, you can use those as cultures. There you go. Foolish One says, I notice your cultures are in small containers with a lot of powder and the correct name. Where did you buy those? I can't find a recipe for raclette. Can you do a video? Right, so that's 2 questions. Where do I buy those? From our shop, littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Kim can put the link up to the cultures on our website, and we ship all over the world. They seem to arrive intact. We use standard shipping, which is quicker than economy, and it usually gets there to most destinations within about 10 days. So they do transport quite well. So, yes, I do. I label all my little containers and all that sort of stuff. And raclette, I'll put that down on the list. I know it's a lovely melting cheese. They have special raclette warming irons, and then they scrape off a big scraping onto vegetables and potatoes. If I find a recipe that says kefir grains, is that meso? Look, it can be either meso or thermo. It'll acidify your milk to the right level, and it has bacteria, lactic bacteria in it that like cooler temperatures around 30 degrees Celsius and warmer temperatures over 42 Celsius. Thanks for the links there, Kim. Okay, we've got 4 minutes to go, Curd Nerd, so we'll tend to wrap it up for the day today. So just a few ways. People often ask how they can support us financially as far as the channel goes. There's a couple of ways. You could always, for those who don't want to pay shipping or anything like that, they can get my ebook, Keep Calm and Make Cheese. That is available at littlegreencheese.com and at littlegreenworkshops.com.au. And also that you can support us on Patreon. There should be a Patreon link. Kim might find that. You just go over to littlegreencheese.com/support me, and there's a tab there, and you can and it takes you straight through to my Patreon page where you can subscribe. Actually, you pledge support a little as $1 US each month, and that works fantastically. And you can also super chat. Don't forget the little super chatty thing. YouTube sends the funds straight to me, which is great if you want to ask a question or just simply donate. And of course, t-shirts, some t-shirt designs available in the merch store, which has a link on every one of my videos. There's a link to the merch store there for cheeseman.tv. That's about it, ladies and gentlemen. I think we'll wrap up the show there. So thank you very much for watching. We'll have another live stream this evening our time at 7:30 p.m, 1930 hours, Australian Eastern Standard Time. So figure that out. So I think it's about 10 a.m. UK time, 11 a.m. Central European time, and for Asia it's only 2 hours, so that's about 5:30 p.m. So you can check that out. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time at the next live chat. There'll be a video. I've got another unboxing video in a couple of days' time, and we will also have another cheese making video for this weekend. All right, thanks very much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.